Hey friends, Shayla here. So today I'm doing a different kind of a video for this channel. Once again, I've been experimenting with different things for my channel, but this isn't a new idea, so I will never say it is. I'm just gonna do a little bit of a get ready with me today, and I wanted to bring you guys along so we could chat. There's a couple things I've been wanting to talk to you guys about, and I figured this would be one of the easier ways for me to talk about these things with you guys without it being this ultra formal sit down kind of video. I like to keep my channel fairly casual, except when I'm doing reviews. Outside of that, I really try to keep it a little more professional when I do reviews. But I have a whole video dedicated to like professionalism and reviewing and stuff, and if I remember, I'll leave that linked down below. And I'll try to link all the beauty products that I use down below, but everything that I'm going to be using you can pretty much find at Ulta, so if you like anything you see, just head on over to Ulta. Let's see, let's just kind of talk about the month of August. August has been kind of crazy with booktubeathon and stuff. After that, I kind of went into a bit of a reading slump. And the book I picked up right after booktubeathon didn't really do me any favors in that regard. It was my buddy read with April from over at April Sarah. She's my girl. Like, we try to do a buddy read once a month. I know, war paint, right? And we both decided we wanted to read Ash Princess by Laura Sebastian. And we both were pretty let down by that book. It took me 4 days to trudge through it, which for a YA fantasy is a long time for me. Typically, with YA fantasy, it only takes me like a day or two to read through those because they're quick reads for me. But this one just felt like drudgery. I hate to say that because the book in and of itself wasn't necessarily bad. Like, it just didn't do anything for me. I think what's happened is I've been reading a ton of YA fantasy since I got onto BookTube. So I've read so much of it in the last almost 3 years that I think I need a break. So I've decided that I'm going to take a bit of a break from reading YA fantasy. And that's not because YA fantasy is necessarily bad. There's a lot of YA fantasy I really love. But I think the formulas are too strong for me right now because I read it so much. I primarily read fantasy, so I end up feeling like I'm reading the same story over and over again. So whenever I find something that has a bit of difference to it, I tend to cling to it and really enjoy it. But right now, I feel like everything I'm reading is the same. Like, how many captive princess stories do we really need in YA fantasy? I would love some more, like, teenage male-centered YA fantasy. We really haven't seen too much of that in the last 5-ish years. It's been all these strong, independent females, which isn't bad. Again, it's not a bad thing to have independent women in the forefront of all of this. But it's one of those things where it's all I'm reading, and I need something different. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take like the whole month of September and maybe October off from reading YA fantasy. I just need to not read it for a minute. And then I'll come back to it. I have 1 or 2 that sound mildly interesting right now. So I'm going to gravitate towards one of those when I decide to come back to it. Am I the only one who's feeling this way, that I feel like I'm reading the same book over and over and over again with YA fantasy? If you have something that feels wholly different, please leave it in the comments down below, because I'm always looking for things outside of the norm when it comes to YA fantasy, especially right now. It's a bit on the crazy side for me. Because I feel like I'm just, as I said, I feel like I'm reading the same thing over and over and over again. And that's not what I really want to read. Let's be real here. No one wants to read the same story unless it's the exact same book you love, you know? I mean, I have my favorite books. Don't get me wrong. And I like certain formulas when I'm reading. But I feel like I like to change it up every so often. And so I'm in one of those, I need to change things up for a minute. And I'm okay with that. So that's going to kind of be my focus in September. How I think I'm going to approach that right now is kind of a fun project that I'm looking into doing. And I'm going to call it Smutty September, where I'm going to read a lot of like smutty romance and paranormal romance books. I really am a sucker for paranormal romance at the moment. I keep finding series and like binging them until I'm current, and then I'm like, well, what am I going to read now? So I get a little frustrated just because I run out of material, I guess you could say, to read. Because I get current on the series and then it's like, okay, I don't want to wait till the next one comes out. Because usually when I do that, I'm like, okay, well, I refuse to pay $12 for a paranormal romance ebook when I can wait till it goes on sale for what I would buy it in a mass market paperback. So I really just kind of get frustrated with how they're pricing ebooks so high. I will never pay above $7 for an ebook. Period. End of story. Like, it is just not what I'm going to do. I'm too practical, I think, to pay more than that. I'm like, I'm not paying for you to have to bind it. Yes, I'm paying a little bit to let you, like, list it through Amazon or whatever. But it's one of those things where I don't feel like I should be paying $13 for an ebook when I can wait a little bit and pay so much less for the exact same book, the exact same format. And so I think some people are getting too big for their britches. I mean, if it's a self-publish, that's different than somebody who's publishing through a major publisher to me. If it's a self-publish, I'm willing to pay a little bit more because I know that they don't necessarily have the following to justify paying a little bit less. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm weird that way. I don't know. This is getting a little rambly, but either way, all I know is I want to support more self-published authors. I try to do that on this channel. And even ones with smaller publishers, I try to support as well. So it's one of those things. I keep saying one of those things. I think that's just one of my tics, like when I'm talking. But I really want to support things I'm passionate about. But I also want to support them realistically, if that makes sense. I'm going to do my eyeliner. I'll be right back. So essentially, what is this all about? I just wanted to let you guys know that I don't hate YA fantasy, but I just need a break for a bit. We all have those moments where, even in our favorite genres, we get a little burned out and we feel like we're reading the same thing. That's very normal when you read, especially as much as we do here on BookTube. That we just kind of have to take a break and read other things for a while, which is why I read as diversely as I do when it comes to genre, at least. I try to read a little bit of everything. So anyways, like I was saying before, if you have any recommendations for like paranormal or smutty romances that you think I would enjoy, go ahead and leave them in the comments down below, because I'm always looking for new recommendations. And if I'm going to make Smutty September happen, I need to definitely get more books on my radar and on my list. I'm currently working my way through the Dark Hunter series by Sherilyn Kenyon, and I've got a bunch of those on their way. I'm really excited to keep going because I've binged like 3 in the last couple of days just because I'm a sucker for her stuff right now, and I really am just enjoying what I'm reading, which is what led me to kind of explore this. That's a little too bright under there. There we go. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'm sorry if you were totally and completely bored, but know that I love you guys. I appreciate all your support of my channel, and I really appreciate everything you guys do. I'm gonna go finish getting ready and start filming some other stuff. See you guys soon. Bye.